Hey, welcome back to the Chiron Intensive. I'm Kiera.
And I'm Zeppa. The Chiron Intensive is a space where we dive into healing. Inspired by Chiron, the wounded healer, this podcast explores how our struggles can become our strength. It's about real talk, real growth, and creating community for young adults who deserve to thrive.
So, we are definitely diving more into our discussion on boundaries. In our last episode, What Does It Mean to Show Up for Yourself? We talked about how showing up for yourself involves setting boundaries, strong ones.
Exactly. And in this episode, it is going to be all about boundaries so that you are set up for success in your journey of self care.
Okay. So, I always have to start with an icebreaker. So, what are you grateful for today, Zeta?
I'm actually grateful for I found a parking spot that was much more closer to to my workplace, my job,
Oh,
and
nice.
it was shaded too because what I like to do, and it has to be a must, like um as much as a break room can be great for breaks. After I eat, the break room is for eating. I go to my car, I run my fan or prepare to run some AC, and I sit in the car, and that's how I decompress during my lunch. Like I cannot have a proper decompression session without getting to my car. And because I had the shade right next to my job, so I didn't have to walk too long and waste minutes on my break. And there was shade and it was cooler. Oh yes, I'm very grateful for that. What about you?
Oh, that sounds good. I remember those days when I had to take lunch in my car in order to cleanse my energy from being around people too much, talking to people too much, just too much people.
Right.
I'm not like I need now that I mostly have been working from home, it's a lot easier to separate from people, right? Like if I feel like I am being too, if I'm engaging too much or if I'm overstimulated, it's a lot easier for me to step away and recoup. But for me, I am grateful today for my sanity because
Mm.
there were moments today where I felt like I may end up on an episode of Snapped. Did you ever watch Snapped?
Yes, I did like a
I
couple
used
of
to be
times.
addicted. I used to be addicted to Snapped.
Oh
And
my
they make it so
gosh.
dramatic, like in this little quiet town, right? And it's
It wasn't a usual day for Sally.
you would never expect it. So, yeah, I felt like that today. And I am grateful for my sanity because my sanity is what keeps me grounded in moments where I feel like I am dealing with psychological warfare. And I just feel like there's like this darker energy that I'm just not feeling lately that is and it may be the environment because it I have been spending a lot of time in New York for the past month and I'm from New York, but I have not been living in New York. So I feel like being back in New York is really messing with my energy
Hmm.
and making me a not so nice person, if that makes sense.
Is that kind of like due to like kind of like also like past experiences tying it in and how like I know like in New York people are kind of like detached from others. It's always kind of like you focus on you, like leave me
Mhm.
alone.
I feel like it has a lot to do with the current political climate. It has a lot to do with a lot of people are struggling. A lot of people are um, just not in a great space, and it shows.
That's true. It does show. It
And I
seeps
just,
into everything.
yeah, I just need to. I was about to say I just need to adapt, but no, I mean, if the environment is not right for you, the environment is not right for you. I think I'm being reminded of why I left New York in the first place. So, yeah. I love New York. I love where I'm from. I love my history. Love, love, love. I don't want anybody to think otherwise. However, this is not the best environment for everyone.
And you outgrew it.
I did. I did.
Mhm.
But I do want to, because Grounded Stars is planted, the roots are in New York. Of course, we will expand to other states as soon as we can. And of course, we will expand internationally eventually. But the root is in New York. And I am being reminded of why I left New York in the first place. And it's just not, it makes me sad
Mhm.
a little bit because it's like I wanted to stick around. I wanted to stay and build like a physical presence, not just a digital presence here.
Mhm.
But I am just being reminded of why I left in the first place. And I think that's what has been why I've been traveling to Westchester so much because Westchester is very similar to like I spent a lot of years in the Carolinas, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Westchester has that like North Carolina, South Carolina vibe in certain areas. It's more suburban and not hard to find parking and things like that. So
I
it
was just
reminds
about to
me,
ask,
yeah.
how
Oh,
long do you think like you'd have to if you're trying to get that figure out that physical presence? I think like, if you just being born there, that's physical presence enough, but where do you
yeah.
think like you could do to enhance it without also sacrificing your emotional and psychological well-being?
I think it may just have to be digital. I think
Mhm.
eventually, and I think we had this discussion privately, right? Where I was like, I think I will let it grow digitally and then we will see from there. And I
Oh
said I
yeah,
would
you
give
did.
myself 2 years digital. Um, and it works because the staff that we are growing, everyone is comfortable with digital. And even the social workers, they all want digital. So it works. It works.
It
Um,
was.
I do just plan to, in the back of my head, I just have a plan to travel because there are some workshops that would work best in person.
Mhm.
So it's just a matter of finding, and there's so many ways to do in person. You can rent out a community room, you can rent out an office space, you can rent out a meeting space. So there's many ways to go around that. But I did just, my whole purpose of being back here after my flood, I was like, oh, well, you know what? Maybe that's a sign to come back to New York and build a physical presence and get an office. And, I'm looking. I have been pricing things out and looking. However, I'm just being reminded of why I said bye-bye. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I'm grateful for today, my sanity.
And we all need a little bit of sanity, okay? I probably can say that too, because sometimes just environment can definitely affect your mood as much as like you try not to let it to, and you think like, okay, let me be wrong. It can.
It really can. And I realize this last year that I am extremely sensitive to sound. No,
Mhm.
I realized this in 2023. I am very sensitive to sound. I'm very sensitive to my immediate environment. So it's like if there's too much noise going on, whether it's loud noise or even like like low annoying, that ongoing type of noise,
Mhm.
I just can't do it. I can't. Like I want to live in an area where I hear just like air or like lightning bugs and some grasshoppers and crickets.
Oh, that kind of like sounds like a nice countryside. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, yeah, I'm very much a hermit. I accept it now. I was denying it for many years. I was like, no, I think you're just comfy where you are, but no, I'm very much, I need peace and quiet. I need to be able to hear my thoughts, and unless I find a nice space in Westchester, I don't know that New York is going to work for me.
Right. It's kind of like you either fit or it's not a fit.
Exactly.
Hmm. That makes me like you mentioning like how sound and how like you're extremely sensitive to sounds and like you're really satisfied with like this normal cricket sounds and quiet.
Yes.
That made me also wanted to plan to ask you what are some of your silly but valid boundaries, because I was just like, ooh, just kind of like, am I tripping? Should I really, really want this boundary? But it's like, no, I want it. Like I wanted to ask you and see where that takes us because um I know boundaries can get a little very specific, but it's kind of like a boundary is a boundary. But I wanted to ask you what's yours.
Yeah. I guess one of my silly boundaries would be, I don't know if it's silly, but I don't like to hear, like, I can't live in an apartment if I'm hearing the upstairs neighbor, like
I got you.
their every move. I can't. If I'm hearing where they are, like I know they're in the living room. I know they're in the bathroom. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear any of it. I don't want to hear my neighbors.
I
That's
feel you
one.
on that. It feels like they're like you have no privacy.
Yeah, I can't do apartment life anymore. There's always an issue. Always. And I just can't take it anymore. I can't do it anymore.
Oh my
Um,
god.
Another silly boundary is um, don't have me repeat myself more than once. Like, okay. Like, I don't like saying the same thing over and over again, regardless. But lately, I have noticed that now that I'm back in New York, they claim that I'm not speaking loud enough. Like, if I'm ordering a drink from the drive-through or something. If I'm ordering something from the drive-through, they're like, "Can you speak up? Can you speak up?" I'm like, "I'm practically screaming at you. How much louder do you want me to talk?" So,
Wow.
so I do like to, if I have the time, because I don't always have the time, I like to order ahead or just like have the time to go inside and order from like the screen or something because I can't do that. How much louder do you want me to be? It's like 6 o'clock in the morning and you want me to scream at you in the intercom.
This is literally just reaffirming just what I imagined like New York is. And I'm walking here. I'm
I
sorry.
don't want, no, no, no. I don't want to badmouth New York. New York is a hustler's place to be if that's where you are in life, if
Mhm.
that's what you're interested in. I'm not interested in this.
You had enough
Good.
hustling.
I've had enough of that. I'm very much in my grandma era. I want a nice little house. where I am not connected to anybody. Like I cannot stand the pricing for these houses where you are still connected and you have a neighbor right next to you.
Oh my gosh, those are like townhomes, I think. Yeah.
I don't
Yep.
understand that. I'm not paying an arm and a leg to still have a neighbor right there. No, I need a backyard. I need a front yard. I need a side yard. I need a garden. Like I need space and I need a fence because I don't want you
Oh,
staring
yeah.
at me when you'd have no business staring at me. So I need peace.
Peace, privacy, property. Yep.
Yes. And that's
Yeah,
boundaries too. Like
that is.
you have to know what environments work for you. And sometimes it takes a while because, it's so expensive to move. You get stuck in certain environments. So some people don't get to realize that they're in the wrong environment until something happens or they are just fed up and, can't take it anymore.
No, that was literally me because like at some point I was just like, okay, apartment life is probably gonna be stuck with me, but I can't keep on doing roommates. Like I
Yeah.
just can't, I done it for 4 years. No, 5 years of my life, I think. And it was four of them was college, and then one of them was kind of like post college. And I was like, no.
I'm dead.
Exactly. Exactly. And then like one of my personal things, like with it, because I did feel silly about it for a little, like it still feels, I mean, it's not quite silly yet, but like not everyone does this. And I just no shoes, no shoes in the apartment. And
Oh,
now that
that
I got
is,
my own place,
yeah.
I can tell people all the time, hey, no
But
shoes.
that's necessary because do you know how gross? Well, Florida may be different, but just just the smell of the street is just like getting to me. Like
Exactly.
I
And
don't
it's
want that
like
in
you
my
might not
house.
smell street, but you smell grass.
I want,
Grass.
yeah, I want to smell flowers and like pine, you know? I don't want to smell pee and poop and
Or you stepped on
some
that random, because Florida's like a state where they call these things water bugs. I call them roaches. You step on one
they
of them and then
are.
you get them, you
That's
get
what
the
they
goo in the
are.
house. I hate it when they be like, oh, that's a roach. No, that's a water bug. No, it's a
That is a
roach.
roach. Big roach. A big roach. Oh my goodness. Have you ever seen one fly?
Oh yes, plenty.
It is
Plenty.
terrifying.
It absolutely feels like an alien is coming to attack you, and they
In
always
South,
fly towards you.
yes, in South Carolina they call them palmetto bugs, I think. If I can't if I can't recall.
I've
I
heard
think
of
that's what
that
they call them.
too. I've
Yeah.
heard of that. Still a roach.
Yeah, pretty much. It's still in the same family.
Right? Like it's like they cousins, the great aunts, great uncles. They all family to me, and they nasty.
I know. I used
Nasty.
to collect lightning bugs, like the bugs that turn green.
Are you,
I haven't seen
wait,
any.
is that what you guys call like fireflies up north?
Oh my God, that's what they're called, fireflies. But are fireflies and lightning bugs, are they the same?
I don't know because I never heard of lightning bugs, but I thought it was like a soda versus pop thing.
I have no idea. But I used to collect them in a jar and they are just my favorite. Like I don't mind
Oh,
those,
I've always wanted to do
sneaking in.
that. They're not as prominent in Florida. I've seen them one time while I was volunteering to help a friend with her film, and there was
Yeah.
fireflies in the person's backyard, and that was my first time ever. And I've always wanted to collect them in jars because in Big Mama, the Big Mama movie with Martin Lawrence, when that little boy was collecting them, I wanted to do that so bad, but I was like, where are the fireflies? Where are you?
Yeah, you have to be in the right area. Where
Mhm.
I used to live in New Rochelle, which is like it's a part of Westchester, but it's like right next to the Bronx. So it's like the hood kind of. It wasn't the hood. It wasn't the hood. It was a nice area, but it wasn't like uppity Westchester, if that makes sense.
Oh, I see. I
But
see.
the complex that we lived in used to get really, really dark. And that's when you would see them, is like when it was pitch black. That's when they started to come out.
Oh, that's so beautiful. That is so beautiful. I just love
Yeah.
that. You know, not to jump too far from what we was talking about, but I did want to share a joke before we get into the conversation. It's
Yeah.
so corny. Like literally it's so corny, but I loved it. Okay, it says, so why did the narcissist cross the road?
Because they don't have boundaries.
They thought it was your boundaries.
Funny. That's funny. Yes. I'm doing a little poetry clap, if that's what it's called.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I bow, I bow.
Yes, because they have no boundaries. Yeah, so let's dive more into this conversation about boundaries, why we need them. I want to discuss how to set boundaries. Um, I feel like people don't realize that boundaries have to be set, even though it may make them uncomfortable. They have to be set in order for number one, for people to respect you, right? Because if you don't have boundaries, people are always going to, and not everyone, but there's always going to be someone who may take advantage of you not having boundaries, or they may realize that you're unable to set boundaries and they may um, use that to harm you in some way, shape, or form, unfortunately, right?
Right.
So we have to set these boundaries in relationships, personal settings, job for me, for sure. Ooh, child. Financial boundaries, we need these for a reason. So for me, one of the things that I do when I'm setting boundaries is I make my intentions clear right away, because I don't want somebody to think that I'm being cold or I'm being rigid for no reason. So I
Mhm.
always let people, I'm very transparent. I feel like I communicate well. I make it clear why I do things a certain way. I make it clear why I have boundaries, right? So if I am wanting to set a certain boundary with someone, I try to make that boundary clear and present right then and there at the very
Mhm.
beginning of the relationship.
I like how you mentioned like setting your intentions because like, sometimes like what matters also more is like how you deliver sharing that boundary. So then like sometimes you to help you give you more confidence in setting that boundary, yes, setting that intention. I like to like usually start out if it's like my first time sharing a boundary with someone, like let's say they crossed it, but we never discussed it. I didn't think we need to, but you know what? It's fair. We never talked about it. I like to say, hey, I felt like this when so and so happened. I actually wanted to tell you I would like this and this to be done that way, or I don't like this. So can you please not do that? Um, just like yeah, because pretty much, yeah, the very first thing is set your intentions, and then having a specific request that ties into your well-being. It's not meant to control the other person. It's just more so to identify this affects my well-being, so I cannot have this continue. Um,
Absolutely. Can I quickly share four
yes, please.
four items? So I think that the best way to set boundaries is to be clear and direct. So like I said, I always set my intentions first. I can't do that right now. I can't be there on that date. I can't um help you with this in this moment. And then I always add because, right? So I
Right.
can't make it on that date because I have something else to do, or I am unable to help you in this moment because I'm very tired. I need to sleep. I always I always try to be clear, be direct, and be honest. I always use I statements. I always say, I need some quiet time this evening, or I need to spend some time alone today. Um, I need to take a walk. I try not to make the other person feel like they are at fault for any reason why I may be setting the boundary, even if they are at fault for why I'm
Mhm.
setting the boundary. I try to use I statements quite a bit. I'm
Oh, I love
always,
I statements. I love
yeah,
that.
yeah. I always stay calm in any situation. That ties into the grounded, right? Grounding.
Mhm.
Always staying calm, even if somebody is trying to provoke you or trying to get a reaction out of you. Because let's be honest, everybody that you're setting boundaries with is not going to be happy with you. So
Mhm.
some people may react in a certain way when you are setting a boundary, and you have to just stay calm in that moment and stay kind, because words do hurt and words can sting and they can come back. So just stay calm and stay kind, even if they're not being kind or calm. Um,
Right.
yeah, I'm good at blocking people. If you are saying stuff that, because I'm big on words are projections and spells. So you're not going to speak onto my life, or you're not going to bring negativity into my day. So if I've set a boundary, I've made it clear, and now you're going off the handle, I'm going to block you. Does that mean you're going to stay blocked? No. It just means in this moment you're being blocked because I don't want to hear or read your negative words. So I'm good for that. I'm good for that. Bye. Leave me alone for right now.
Mhm.
Um and repeat. Repeat. Just stay consistent to show that you mean it, because if you set a boundary and then you keep letting people cross that boundary, they're not going to respect it, and they're not going to respect you. So if you set a boundary, make it clear, um, and always have that boundary. So if you say, I don't like you drinking from my cup, and every time they reach for your cup, you say, hey, remember, I don't like you drinking from my cup. Just do that every single time.
And it reinforces it. It also shows that if they're the type of person to try to take advantage of you, they're gonna know that you're not someone that just lets down or gives up on your boundary. Because there's some people out there who will
Mhm.
test you just to see if you will let go on that boundary.
Exactly.
And it sucks. And you might give like some people grace because sometimes they just do need that repetition because it could be as simple as having a different upbringing and nobody that they were ever around had a similar boundary to you. But then there's just those some people who really are testing you. And when you see that, just
Mhm.
keep set that next boundary or just keeping them out of your life.
Many narcissists, or people who have a lot of narcissistic traits, they lack boundaries because no one told them no, or there were loose boundaries in the home, or it was just a lot of enabling in their life. I noticed that a lot of people who are enabled, like their poor behavior is never corrected, never called out. It um they are usually the ones who react harshly when you set boundaries.
Honestly, you're reading that because that just reminds me, and this is like not even me being like giving tea or shade, but that just reminds me of like my father. Cause like you hear one story of when he was younger, how like he tried to defend my grandmother, and then my granddad shut him down. And then ever since then, I don't hear no more stories of like that where he's like standing up for something good. It's usually just some type of like something that's so focused on him. And if you stand up, he takes a negative approach to it.
Exactly. Unfortunately, I have uh so bad, but my I don't want to say it, but I have to. The women in my family, so I was raised by my grandmother and my mother, but my aunt as well. But I'm not bad mouthing anybody.
Mhm.
However, I notice a pattern of if you don't agree with them or if you call them out, they will give you the silent treatment. And it's really not my aunt, it's mostly my grandmother and my mother, right? My grandmother passed away last year, and I was really heartbroken about it because the last time that we spent time together, I spoke my truth and I called her out on how I was treated as a child. Could I have
Oh.
said, could I have said these things differently? Yes, but I'm glad that I said them.
Mhm.
However, so let me give you the story. I was staying with her waiting for my passports. I was traveling with my two young sons at the time. We were waiting to go to Panama. And first we were going to Mexico, but I needed their passports to be mailed to her home. And I was waiting at her home for 2 weeks because that's how long the expedited passport took. So I was
Mhm.
waiting at her home for these passports, and spending time with her just reminded me of my childhood, how I was always, it was always criticism or them gossiping behind my back and just a lot of childish activity that I didn't like. But this was also after I had spoken my truth about a family situation.
Mhm.
I spoke my truth about it a year before this, uh, before me spending time with her. Uh, I want to say 2018. 2018 is when I came out with it. I spoke up and I said, this is what happened. They initially tried to gaslight me and say, are you sure that's what happened? Or are you just, are you sure? And I'm like, what do I gain by making this up? What do I
Exactly.
gain? What do I gain? And then my mother stopped talking to me when I came out with it. And this was 2018. So I went to my grandmother's home. We were fine here and there, but there were just certain things that I just realized like, oh, you're sitting here calling my mother, telling her my business, right? And I'm just
Oh.
like, I'm good. And the last conversation that we had prior to me leaving was I was just like, do you guys realize how negative this family is? How it's just not a healthy environment. It's not conducive. It's not, you know, what is the word? Helpful, not helpful, supportive.
Mhm.
Um, and I did scream. Yeah, I screamed. Could I have said it without screaming? Probably. But that's how angry I was, and that's how frustrated I was by the
Mhm.
lack of change and the lack of growth. So that was the last time I physically saw my grandmother
Mhm.
in 2018. And I got to Panama and it was so beautiful. I love Panama, by the way. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. Um, got to Panama and I was just like, I'm gonna apologize for how I said it. I I don't apologize for saying it because it needed to be said, but I do apologize for how I said it because I could have been much more respectful with my words and I could have been more respectful with my tone.
Mm. So it's kind of
And
like, mhm. I'm listening,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead. Tell me.
No, I was just saying, like, kind of like how you can still say what needs to be said, just that delivery.
Hmm. Exactly. But I texted her and she never texted me back.
And then, like, and after some time is when she passed
And
and
she
you guys
passed
then.
away in 2024. So 2018 to 2024, dealing with the silent treatment.
Uh, you know how, like, they say the silent treatment is a relationship killer. Um, it's not fitting for any type of like situation or valuable relationship. And I'm so sorry that happened because then it feels very alienating, especially when you've been extending your hand. It shared the truth because you wanted a good outcome. You wanted to have a change of events. You apologize because you you apologize for how you said things because you didn't want the message to be lost because the message is still very important to you and you feel like it's very important for the family. And that's just uh you know, I'm
Yeah.
sorry
But
that.
it's a form of control, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's a form of control. It's a form of emotional abuse. It's psychological abuse as well. And this is something that I've been dealing with my entire childhood, especially with my mother,
Mm-hmm.
dealing with the silent treatment, especially in times of need or in times of lack or in times of crisis, dealing with um, the silent treatment for speaking up about abuse or um, being told to lie and me not lying about certain things. I'm I'm never going to apologize for being honest about my experience, um, because that's a part of my journey and that's a part of my healing is to speak up about it and be honest about what I've gone through so that I can help others to get through their crises. I can't help anybody if I'm sitting here lying about things that I've gone through. And I'm not going to save your reputation. And I'm not going to pretend that I'm not going to ever pretend to be someone that I'm not.
Mm-hmm. You gotta bring the lightness. What is that phrase? You gotta bring the light to everything that the darkness tried to steal.
Exactly. Oh, where is that from?
It is something that Ariana Grande said. She's probably not the first person to say it, but I remember I know it's an Ariana Grande song. And one of those. I can't take credit for it, but like when you mention like the silent treatment, it tells me all the time, think about like how the person who does the silent treatment, like I mean, let's like look at the both sides of the coin for the provider of silent treatment, the receiver.
Hmm.
On one end, the person who gives it, right, they're just thinking, you know what, like this person is just making what they just did or said, it's making me feel this way. I can't handle these emotions and they need to know what exactly I'm feeling, right? And then there's the other side where it's just kind of like, I want to still connect with you. Why are you separating from me? I'm feeling more frustrated and I'm going to retract. And I feel like the most healthiest way to not being the provider and then also per the provider of silent treatment and from staying or protecting yourself from folks who could possibly give you the silent treatment is if somebody says or does something to me that elicits like large emotions, I just say, this is a lot right now. I need a moment to myself and I'm not giving you the silent treatment because one, it holds me accountable to stand by that and not give you the silent treatment because literally I'm going to just separate myself and decompress, but I'm still here, right? And it also sets the intention that, okay, we're not doing this psychological warfare silent treatment thing. And then
Exactly.
also, I feel like communicating that, or doing another version of that where you feel like somebody is doing it to you, you say, hey, I know you need a break maybe, but please do not give it to me. It's already breaking down that wall and barrier of like, we're not doing that, because that just builds up a wall. And that's not a boundary. That's just warfare. Like how you were saying earlier, psychological warfare.
Yeah.
So I always tell myself, if I receive huge emotions, maybe somebody didn't quite do say something bad, or it didn't cross a boundary, it just elicit large emotions, right? Then I'm not giving a silent treatment. It's different if somebody like literally violated you, like it's not silent treatment, it's cutting them out, right? Cutting them out, whatever, right? Because it's clear they violated you. It's explicit, there's
Mm-hmm.
no other way, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
it also, what it also does, like trying to set the intention and then like, saying, I need to just step away, decompress, but I'm not giving you the silent treatment, or I just can't physically be around you right now. It also primes the situation that if they do want to give you the silent treatment after you just said you're just decompressing, you need a moment to yourself, or somebody takes it as if you are giving them the silent treatment, that's
Mm-hmm.
already kind of like, I like to think of it like as a permeable boundary, like, right? Because it's a boundary, but you can still permeate by still communicating what you need. Hey, hey, I need you to take out the trash today. Okay. Even though you might be irritated with the other person, but you're communicating, you take out the trash. Or hey, the kids, they need somebody to help them with their homework. Okay, I got it. You don't have to talk about feelings, all that right now, because we are keeping ourselves separate. Or,
Yeah.
you know what? I had a really bad argument with you this morning, but I know you have a dance recital, and I know you would be so happy to have me there. I'm still gonna show up there, even though whatever we did had a big thing, because you're still prioritizing the relationship, both of your well-being, and also not trying to elicit like warfare. I don't know if that
Yeah.
sounds like a bunch of jumble, but like
No.
I've been harmed so bad by the silent treatment, and I've also kind of like fallen for the trap of trying to give the silent treatment to try to get what you want when I was much younger, of course, but when I started to see how it did not work for the adults, and then the adults did it to me, and it was not working for me, and whatever was going on, literally, I feel like that was just my formula to work around it as both the person who done it before when she was younger, and then like as the person who's received it a lot as a child and as an adult. So like,
But
ooh,
it's all about intentions,
mhm,
because if your intention is to step away for a moment and gather yourself, that's a boundary. If your
right,
intention is to try to make someone grovel or beg or um cry or trying to harm somebody emotionally and psychologically, that is purely abuse. That is
mhm,
abuse, and that is harmful.
control, yeah,
It's also, yes, it is a control. It's control.
mhm.
It's, oh, I will speak to you when I deem you worthy of speaking to.
Exactly. And boundaries is none of that. Like I think sometimes some
Hmm.
people, and maybe even a narcissist, right? They might say, well, this is my boundary. And no, but it's just like
No,
intention.
there's
It's
a
not about
difference.
controlling people. There's a difference, like you're saying. It's about prioritizing your self-care, right? You can still
Hmm.
care for yourself without abusing others or trying to control others, right?
Exactly.
You're just stating what you need and a little bit of your wants that doesn't impede on anybody else's needs or safety, so that you can go ahead and live a fulfilling, more self-confident, like, everyday life.
Exactly.
One time I heard, dang, this was so long ago, and I remember like ranting with my sisters about it. Long time ago. I think, was it a family member? I'm just gonna give an example. It might not be what the situation verbatim, but somebody was like, oh my gosh, I wish I wrote this down. But it was kind of like they were saying, this is my boundary. So no, you can't do this. But the boundary that they were stating or establishing was kind of just like really mean. Like it was kind of like, I mean, if you want to do that for your stuff, that's cool, but it doesn't mean I have to. I'm not even talking to you. I'm not even dealing with you.
Right.
I gotta do that.
Exactly.
Just because you
It's
always
all about, yeah, it's all about the intention and if this person is being manipulative and purposely trying to harm someone, um, rather than practicing self-care and practicing being able to stand up for yourself. There's a complete difference.
exactly, exactly. And with folks who do that, right? Sometimes they might turn around and be this type of person. And I'm going to give a quote that explains that type of person, right? So I don't know who's the original speaker, so I can't quote them who said this, but I came across something that says if someone throws a fit because you set boundaries, it's just more evidence the boundary is needed. So it's like we already explained what is a boundary, right? It's something that prioritizes your self-care, your well-being, your safety, right? It's not about control or abuse. So if you say something that is the definition of a true well-balanced boundary and somebody has an issue with it, whether it could even be yourself, right? You know you need more, like me. I know I need more sleep. I mean, if I'm having a fit because I'm like, man, I don't want to, but it's like, but my body is crying. My eyes are whatever. That's more evidence I need more sleep, right? But it includes family, friends, yourself. Like that is more evidence you need to do it. If you're somebody that's
Especially,
right.
yeah, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just gonna say, if you're somebody that's never set a boundary before ever in your life, it's gonna feel so uncomfortable. You're gonna feel like you're the meanest person in the world, like you're doing something that's so dumb. But no, think of that quote. The more you do it, the stronger you will get at setting your boundaries and the more confident you'll be. But what were you saying here?
The people who throw the tantrums for you setting the boundary are the people who benefit from you not having the boundaries, right?
Yes,
Because there would be no tantrum if they didn't benefit from you not having a boundary. They are
exactly.
right, they're taking advantage of you. So it's like pay attention to this. Pay attention to how people treat you when you stand up for yourself or you speak up about experiences. And are they more worried about their reputation or are they actually worried about your well-being? You have
Mhm.
to ask yourself, and this is what I'm talking about, doing inventory in your life, the people in your life, not just friends, but family members too. Sometimes just because you're related by blood, it doesn't mean that this person is a healthy person to have in your life.
Mhm.
Because if you are unable to heal around this person, that's not a person that you need to be around often.
Oh yes, heavy on it. You don't need to be around often. You can separate yourself from them. You can limit contact. If you got to work with them, you can limit conversation. If it's a family member that you have to be around side by side, if it's family parties, outings, you can separate yourself with them.
Yeah,
You gotta, and it's like the only way for you to feel more confident setting a boundary is you gotta keep on doing
exactly. And you have to
it.
not waver on it because it's hard to navigate these obstacles or to troubleshoot these struggles with boundary setting because empaths in general, they have difficulty being firm, letting go of people. I know for me, breakups would be like, oh my God, if I was breaking up with somebody, it felt like the world was ending. But now that I'm older, I just look back at it like, oh, okay, that person was for that season. And, we move on, we grow. There are some people that I went back and I apologized to, and they've apologized to me. It's life.
Right,
So these are boundaries that are necessary for you to practice your safety, your well-being, and your health, right? So for
right.
me, I like to pause before saying yes to anything. If it's an email that has a certain question, I always take, I don't just rush and answer it. I always take some time to think about it before agreeing to it. And if it's a discussion in person, I tell them, let me think about it and then I'll get back to you, whether that's later today or tomorrow or whatever the deadline is, I'll get back to you then.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I always practice setting boundaries in low stake situations. So I'm always around children, so boundaries always need to be set. Um, I'm always around children, so I always find myself setting boundaries. No, don't drink from my cup. No, that is my donut. Or
That
no,
is so fun.
those
You
are
have to do that because it's literally you have to do that with kids.
I'm very big on germs. Like we're not sharing food. We're not sharing, I mean, we can share food, but we're not sharing the same bite, right? And we're
Right.
not sharing drinks and none of that. None of that. Get off of my drink. And then also at work, like I said, I always, if I am scheduled at a certain time, I'm clocking out. I do not care about overtime. There are some times where I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go hard this week, and but no, no. If I
I did
don't,
that for work today after our
yeah, if I
discussion.
exactly. If I'm not energetically there, I'm out. I'm out at 4:59. Shoot, sometimes 4 o'clock. Ah, but those are the small, low stake boundaries that I set so that when it's a higher stake or it's something much more serious, it's easier for me to set a boundary because I'm
Mhm.
practicing it in my daily life.
I like
One
how
thing
you
I
said the practice low
Yeah,
stakes. I like that.
yes, yes. One thing I don't like being touched. Like if I'm overstimulated, I don't want to be touched. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to be talked to. If
Mhm.
I am overstimulated, I need to be away from people or I will physically start to feel nauseous. Like that's just how my body
Oh.
works.
Mhm.
So I find myself setting that boundary often, especially with children, right? Like, oh, I need some alone time, or I need, please don't touch me right now. Um, Please cut off that bright light. Like, there are just some things that really overstimulate me quite easily, and touching is number one. Um, I also say check your feelings around certain people. Are you often uncomfortable around certain individuals? Do you feel a sense of resentment when you think of your time with these individuals? Are you often exhausted after an interaction with this person? Right? Because if you always feel tired after a conversation with somebody, that's a sign for me.
Right.
That's a sign. If you're always, and I'm not talking about like it's the end of the day and you're like, oh my God, I'm beat. I mean, like you were feeling good right before seeing them, and then after seeing them, you just feel wiped out.
Mhm.
And I always like to journal. I haven't been keeping up, but I like to write things down. I like to make lists about pros and cons, or what's okay, what's not okay, what I should have said, what I didn't say. I like to get it on paper so that I can look at it and think about it before verbalizing it. I'm big on texting. If I want to say something, I will write it out first and think about it before sending it. And lastly, it's okay to separate yourself from people who are just not it. It's okay to recognize when the relationship is just beyond boundary setting.
Mhm. I like how you said those things because like I pretty much do something similar. I do wish that I did journal more because even I didn't understand like how helpful journaling could be. I used to do that when I was like much younger. It really does like help give you perspective. So that as you identify perspective, it can either further cement whatever boundary you set, or maybe you know what, I could have set a whole lot more. I was playing it safe. Um, I also like to take some time, like literally, even if at work, I'll be back. Sometimes I don't even like because I don't want you to know where I'm going, and then people
Yeah.
chasing me down, bothering me. I
Yeah.
said I'll be back because it would be because now you would consider me rude if I just walked away, and I used to do that when I was younger. So then it was
Yeah.
just kind of like, but I get overstimulated easily, like a combination like, and especially work is like perfect combination of talking to somebody all day, then juggling this, and then what happens often, which I did set that boundary today at work, where two people were talking to me at once. It makes my brain like it physically like makes my brain
Yeah.
like it really just feels like that cartoon where somebody spins their finger around somebody's eyes and their brain go whoop. It feels like
Yes.
that's me. So
Yes.
literally, I had to set that boundary today at work because it was kind of like, hey, I already took my break of the day. If I took too many breaks, y'all gonna think like I'm slacking, and I'm not a slacker. But I can't keep on saying I'll be right back because then it looks suspicious. So I was like, I already used my I'll be right back for the day. I had to
I'm
be
good for
like,
taking an extra break.
you
I
know,
don't care. I'm
I'm gonna
taking
start
it.
doing that and see what happens. Because for real, I think I need it, but I literally had to say two people are talking right now. I cannot
Mm-mm.
understand anything. And
And
literally
you
it came
shouldn't
so
have to.
naturally, even I should have
But you
to.
shouldn't even have to say this to adults.
Yes, but it happens.
Yes. Too much.
And that can be so overwhelming. And it's like I haven't Karen knows about like my experience with kids. Like I've always associated that with like childhood because I always was taking care of kids when I was younger. But then as I got older, it's not a just kids thing. Adults do it all the time.
I have come to realize that adults are worse than children.
Yeah.
Is that not bad?
I don't think it's bad because what I'm starting to see is just because I was like, how does that happen? Well, children are humans and children are very untrained humans or unexperienced. So I think as an adult, when you don't have any experiences, then now it's your decision to get those experiences or open your mind more, and you choose not to. You're kind of basically how I viewed adults that do act like that, being worse than children, is they decided to be stuck in their ways because you
And
had
it's
it all in your
terrible.
childhood to break it out and you decided to be stuck in your ways. There's some old people I used to view older, like elderly, like as wise. But then
Mhm,
working with so many older people, I realized
mhm.
they're not that wise and they can be very mean and then do stuff that just don't make sense. Cause I'll just be like, you're more American than me.
Not all though, not all. Just we have
Not
those,
all, you guys.
we have some, but it's so true. And it's goes back to that enabling. A lot of
Hmm.
people who have been enabled their entire lives grow up to be Karens.
Hmm. And it's like if they never set a boundary in their life or nobody in their life set a boundary for them so that they can open their eyes to like, hey, this doesn't just run around me. When
Yeah,
nobody does any of it, it kind of just further just allows enabling to come in or making excuses for themselves. So it's
exactly.
just it sucks. Like, and I've seen it happen with family. I see it all the time with my family members. Um, like, and it's just the only way you can navigate it is make those boundaries, separate yourself, take a break, have some discipline with yourself. And sometimes I like to affirm, like sometimes I'll just be like, I don't have to deal with this person anymore because I did set that boundary, or I have the right to set that boundary.
Exactly.
I always also, because we are getting near the end, but before we conclude, I wanted to um, mention, I also wanted to ask you who's someone you admire for the way they show up themselves or set boundaries. Like I do want to give it for me, like I want to give an honorary mention to my little sister. She was always viewed as like the black sheep in my family, but like growing up as an adult and then seeing how certain adults just did not like the way she was just a young girl who knew how to set a boundary. Like she would just be like, don't talk to me like that. I don't like that. And
Yeah.
the adults would be like, oh my gosh, she's gonna hit
Are
me.
you disrespectful?
Yes. But I was like, no, she was pretty much like on her track to set her boundary. Like, and I love it so
Uh-huh.
much. And I tell my sisters all the time, set those boundaries because when we were little, you couldn't even do them and you was in trouble for them. And then like, and then you're teaching me about setting it more. Like she's the queen of it and she knows how to do it in a respectful way. It's just that also I've seen people treat her like she had, I don't know, cake in her face because she said, I don't like the way you talk to me. That was
Yeah.
disrespectful. Please don't ever
Yeah.
talk to me like that again.
The black sheep is always the one that is the most vocal,
Mm-hmm. That's
and
true.
it's not going to put up with your nonsense.
That is true. I mean, would you say like you kind of, I mean, I feel like the
I
way
am.
you mentioned your, I was like, were you the black sheep then? Would
I
you say
am
you're,
the
you're,
black
you're like,
sheep. But it's interesting because there's two of us in my family, but the other one was very much like, I need their approval. I need them to eventually accept me. And I was just like, oh, you're giving me the silent treatment? Then I guess we just won't ever talk again. Right? Or, oh, just, I'm not looking for anyone's approval. I'm not begging for anybody to answer me. If I realize that you're giving me the silent treatment and that you haven't, you know, passed away or something, if you're alive and you're purposely ignoring me, I've come to realize that you're giving me the silent treatment
right.
and I am going to move on with my life. Does it hurt sometimes? Of course.
Mm-hmm.
When I was younger, it used to really hurt. But now that I'm older, I recognize it for what it is. So yeah, I'm very much the black sheep, but there were two of us.
Mm-hmm.
But one of us is very much still needing or needed, because I'm not certain how close they still are, but
Right.
needed validation from them very
I'm just
much.
snapping my fingers because like wisdom, and like that imagery. Honestly, you're that other person, fam, that you're speaking of is reminding me of how I kind of used to act because it was kind of like I was raised to be like the first daughter, the good daughter,
Hmm.
people pleaser. She's taking care of everybody. She's the one you go to. Yeah, the older cousin, the boy, no, don't go to him. Go to Zeta. Like, and I was kind of like, okay, like I just have to make sure I'm like on the good side. I realized, don't gotta be like that. And eventually I broke out and like, no, I'm not doing that. And everybody they know not to. I say no. Like I got in big trouble during college once when I finally learned how to say no. I literally they said my dad did not want me to go to college in FSU. And he just didn't like the fact that I asked my brother to take me. But I did ask him, he just told me no, he wants nothing to do with it. So when I did go, everybody was like, Zeppa, you need to go apologize. And then I'd be like, no. And they would be like, oh. And I said, yeah, no. And that
Oh
was the
no,
first time I
she
was,
didn't.
and yes. And then they thought that if my great aunt, and I love my great aunt, but they thought if she talked to me, that changes it. And I would have to be like, sorry, auntie. Because they didn't think I had it. And I say, no. And it felt good. Like being that person who tries to because the empathy is a tool, but it can be a crutch if you let it. And I had to realize I
Yeah,
can't be that person no more.
yeah,
Can't. It doesn't serve you. Like you can still have empathy, still try to find the good. You can still try to maybe find a common ground, but sometimes you just can't and just say no. and separate yourself and see for what it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. I still love people. I still see the good in them, but I have been through too much, and I'm gonna love you from over here.
Period.
Yeah.
Period.
Well, that pretty much concludes our discussion on the topic of setting boundaries, but I'm pretty sure it's going to come up again in many in many episodes.
Just like how setting boundaries in your life will never stop, its relation to other topics will never stop. Okay, so and we hope that you took a lot from this conversation. We talked all about the importance of setting boundaries and how boundaries can come with a few obstacles that are still worth navigating despite the difficulties. We talked about how journaling, avoiding silent treatments, persistence with setting your boundary, and having a little bit of discipline and figuring out what your intentions are and relaying them to others can just pretty much help you with your all around life, self care goals, and your confidence.
Absolutely. And don't forget to check us out on Substack and join our Google Classroom in order for you to have first hand in our discussions. I don't know if that made any sense, but you know what I meant. So
Sound good to me.
if you felt this conversation, please follow us wherever you get your podcast, share it with a friend, and join us on this healing journey.
We shall see you guys soon. And next time, we're going to dive into a conversation about tools we use to cope.
Awesome. Don't forget to visit us at www.groundedstars.com to book a class or a session today.
And we'll see you guys soon. Thank you for
See you again.
listening. Bye.
Bye.